So one thing that I am choosing to focus on is we were asked a question when we kind of had like that litmus test about where our beliefs stand, and the question was, how much should we go after every mistake as teachers? So every mistake that the kids make in writing and speaking and stuff like that. And there's one little portion on in the Canadian-born ELL section that I want to talk about. It's called Interpreting Miscues Carefully. The reason that I'm talking about this is I'm kind of a fan of this. Obviously, I wouldn't be speaking about it otherwise. But when they leave the S off something plural or they're switching was and were, it's often mistakes that you will see throughout the entire assignment or essay or whatever you're having them produce. And because of this, they tend to make the same mistake over and over again, but it's not like they continually make that mistake. It's a mistake in foundation. It's a mistake in the original sentence structure that they just repeat the same mistake over and over again because there's no opportunity for them to learn while they're writing this on their own. Some teachers will go and they will deduct marks for every single mistake or mistakes that are even in the same vein, and it ends up creating a lot of red on the student's paper, and for some students it can even cause a lot of issues in terms of being able to learn from their mistakes, because when you get a sheet back and it has 40 mistakes on it, you cannot really internalize all those mistakes at the same time. You're not going to learn 40 separate lessons from one assignment that you got back. So as a teacher, I prefer to keep note of issues. Like if one foundational issue that I haven't been addressing is still a problem, say 2 months later, then maybe I need to address that issue as well. But I try and pick kind of 2 or 3 of the bigger ones that I find and I see, and really focus on getting them to correct those. I mean, I'm not going to go through and write was and were, say, and throughout the whole thing, but I might fix it the once and then ask them to go through and take a look and say, okay, well, where else can you see this mistake made? Where can you go else and fix this? If you give the students too much, it can be a lot. I've gotten feedback before where it's like, I'm going to throw 10 different things at you, and it's really difficult for anybody to take those 10 things and implement them immediately and do 100% on all of them. So it's much easier to say, okay, 3 things. Those are the 3 things I'm going to work on. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And if you focus on the bigger, more systemic mistakes rather than the individual, say like a spelling mistake or something like that, you will start to noticeably see improvement in the student's writing, and they will see that as well. And you can play that up in case they're ever sort of maybe getting a little discouraged. You can show them something that maybe they worked on a couple months ago and show them the progress, because they'll be able to see the system mistakes they were making before and then see where they are now and be able to compare the two of them. Learning is, of course, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And because of that, sometimes it's like a death by degrees thing. It's hard to see from one day to the next a noticeable change. And that's why if you're looking for a sense of development or a sense of growth, you really need to look over a longer period of time, because while maybe it goes a degree by day, over 20 days you got 20 degrees of difference. So by focusing on the little things, you're not overwhelming the students and you're not making them try and fix everything that's wrong at once. You're trying to build them from the base up so that when they get to a certain point, they'll be able to use the logic and the knowledge from the other mistakes that they've made and actually start correcting themselves. And that's where you'll see the biggest jump in a student's ability.